Hello and welcome to Messy Bun Manifesting with Michelle. I'm Michelle. And today I want to talk to you about a few things. Well, first, if you see me looking this way, that's because Bella the Border Collie is right here and she might hop up in my lap. I don't know. She's been a little needy today. So if you have a Border Collie, you know they're either like 1 minute they're Gizmo and the next minute they are a gremlin. And today she's being a little gizmo-y, and yesterday she was, oh my God, such a gremlin. Anyway, so first thing I thought was so interesting, and I wanted to share it. I shared it in a post, but I thought it was kind of funny. It just is something that I want to share for two reasons. One, because I want to clear something up. And two, because I want to be like, this is one of those situations where you kind of say, here's an example of when stuff happens. You can say, instead of why is this happening, you would be like, where is my lesson in this? So the first thing that happened, it was like, I get this text from a friend of mine who's also a client, and she's like, "Hey, are you still doing readings? And if so, I would like to schedule one." And I was like, heck yes, I am doing them. I'm that's kind of my thing. That's all I do. I do intuitive readings and I coach people to manifest their dreams. Those are my two you know, zones of genius, if you will. So just to be clear, first of all, yes, I do readings. I will put a link in the description after the live is over of where you can schedule a private reading with me, because I want to make sure that's important, that's there, that yes, I do readings, and we do them on Zoom. And the cool thing is now, not only do you get the replay of your reading, you get the photo of your cards if we pull cards, because again, it's up to spirit how we roll, but also because you can do this really cool AI summary thing, which, I think it's funny. I've come such a long way in 10 years. I used to lose my people when they were on Zoom with me. But now I do this thing where you can summarize it. So you get a summary you can keep and read of all the high points of the reading and any sort of other, links and things. Oh, I got something in my eye. Links and things that maybe we discuss or reference materials or whatever. So that's cool. And I'll put the link in the description later so that you have those. The other cool thing was old me. And it's so funny, like when you're on this like spiritual journey and you're doing all this work, because like y'all, the internal work for the last 5 years has just been just stacking and stacking and stacking. And it's great. Like it doesn't always feel great, but it is great for our unfolding, especially with what's coming next, which I will tell you about in a moment. But this but this is so neat because I remember like getting this text and like my initial thought was, oh, I was so in observer mode. Normally I'd be like, oh my God, like, why would you ask me that? But it was more, I was joyous to get to answer her. And I was also like, oh, I really need to show up more. I need to be more visible. I need people to know what I'm doing. Like I haven't been visible a lot in the last several years. And I've been kind of wishy-washy around with things. So that was and it's so funny because she's a dear friend and also like one of my, I call them like superhero clients. Like she's just amazing and I love her. And the fact that she's the one that came out of, I was so grateful. So you know who you are, and I'm so grateful. But it made me realize I need to be more visible. So I will be being more visible in this space and other spaces and just in general to let people know what's going on. So that was why, and it's funny because when I think about the 7 steps that I talk about for my my signature 7 steps, I've been talking about for almost 10 years. I wrote a book about it and everything, but part of it was like the asking, like I wasn't asking. No wonder she didn't know. No wonder people don't know, or they've forgotten, or they're curious, is it still going on? Because I'm not asking. I'm not saying, hey, this is what I do. If you want to come hang out, let's hang out. So if you don't ask, you don't get. Just a little lesson for you, a little micro lesson for you there. That's part of the manifesting thing for this. But let's get on with all of this because in that process, you might see some changes in my Substack. If you don't know what my Substack is, again, I'll leave links below. But in general, the month of August, I feel like is going to be transmutation all the way around. So switching gears into that mode because welcome to August, super fiery month. If you, excuse me, if you haven't read the August 2026 post, it went out this morning. If you're watching this on August 4th of 2026, if you're not, that's totally okay. Stick with me because when I read messages, they are for you, whether you are with me right now or you're with me, 3 years from now. That's what the intention always is. And this fiery month, it's so crazy because I wrote all that stuff the last week of July, or maybe the second to last week of July, because I was trying to get ahead of things. But I just kept seeing fire, fire, fire. And it's interesting that we witness this fire stuff going on externally, like the fires in Europe. For fuck's sake. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't swear so much on YouTube, but they don't like it. But I'm gonna drop F-bombs. It is what it is. Over in Edinburgh, they had a fire on Arthur's Seat. That's like one of my favorite cities in the world. And if you don't know, Arthur's Seat is this ginormous, I want to call it a mountain because it's not, but it's like a big hill over in Edinburgh, and people hike up it and stuff like, because you can get a really great view of the city. But there was fire up there, which it's like, what? And not that wildfires in other places are less less noteworthy. It was just weird. So there's that weirdness. I think there was one in France, which is weirdness. And then there's all the ones in Canada, and the ones, a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, she lives in like Washington, or I think it's Washington or Oregon, out there, and I have friends in California. They always have wildfires going on, it feels like. But like my one friend sent a photograph. She was going out to get some money from the ATM and some gas, just because they were saying, be prepared, you might have to evacuate. And she sent this photograph of this huge plume of smoke in the horizon. And I'm sending prayers and know that y'all out there are on my heart as I'm talking about this, because the fire we're witnessing, it's distressing because people in it, or they're places you love. And at the same time, it is a reminder of the transmutation activity that the fire element brings. Fire medicine, that is what we need right now. And I know that's so strange. We don't need all the destruction, but it is that transformation that happens like this with a fire, and fire medicine is about like burning up the stuff we don't need and putting a fire under the stuff that we do need and we want to bring in. And that's kind of the point energetically of fire, that element of transmutation. It's the time, and it's kind of funny because I think it's the time nobody wants. It really is, because nobody wants to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the discomfort it causes, the pause that it makes us all do. It's this part that, I love. I jokingly will say to all of my yoga instructors that Shavasana is my favorite pose, corpse pose or whatever. But it's my favorite, but it's also the hardest because you have to lay there like a corpse for 5, 10, 30 minutes, whatever it is, and just allow. That's the surrender. So it's that surrender between when you set your intention and you have no control over the outcome, and you're just trusting that whatever happens here in the middle, everything's going to be okay, no matter how uncomfortable, how possibly painful, how boring, how much programming we have, taken in or endured about, you always have to be busy, when in fact, that's kind of like contrary to the whole manifesting process. So understanding that right now, the month of August, and August is interesting because you have like a bazillion retrogrades. Well, not a bazillion. I think there's like only 2 planets that are not retrograde, which is again an invitation to inward, not outward pushing, inward, like transmutation and just allowing all that, allowing it to be still. So when I talk about my 7 steps for manifesting, it's getting centered, gratitude, asking, letting go, contrast and awareness, alignment, and receiving. Okay, those are the 7 things. And there are certain ones that I think right now are very, very challenging for folks. One is getting centered, which I've noticed a lot of uptick in talking about regulating nervous systems and stuff like that. That's where that step really is important, because if you can't manage and regulate the nervous system through practice of meditation, through practice of somatics, like those kinds of things, those are going to help you. And then, and being in gratitude, they kind of go hand in hand. That's why I put them as the first two. They go hand in hand because gratitude gets you in that highest vibrational energy. So you're managing your nervous system and you're being in a high vibrational energy, which helps turn you into a manifesting magnet for stuff you want. You're always manifesting, by the way. And then the asking, like I was saying in the beginning, like, oh my God, of course people are like, hey, did you, are you still doing your things? Well, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not saying, hey, here's an invitation. Do you want to come hang out for a reading? Do you want to come hang out and get coached about manifesting and learn the 7 steps and implement them and do your ask, believe, receive work? If I'm not saying stuff like that and I'm not doing videos and I'm not doing all the things, the asking goes away, and therefore you don't manifest what you want. It's just random. So, there's that. Then the letting go, the surrender, that's what I want to talk about right now, because that's one of those things that's so hard, so challenging. I think even the most Zen of people, I think the Dalai Lama is probably the one person who's really good letting go, but even he will say things like he'll get upset for a moment or two, because everyone is human. And letting go is challenging because we are so programmed to try and control everything outside of us, when the only thing you control is how you choose to navigate any experience. You can't choose the experience. I mean, you can choose to go somewhere. Obviously, there's free will in that. But what happens when you get there, because you're interacting with other people, like you go to the simple thing, you go into the grocery store. On the way there, somebody might cut you off in traffic. And you have a choice. Do you flip them the bird? Do you go like this? Why I oughta? Or are you like, go and be blessed instead of driving off? It's literally that simple. And right now, with this fire elemental energy of transmutation, we're in that space of the in-between, the space where you ask and you allow. And you don't push it unless and pushing, inspired action isn't pushing either, okay? Because inspired action is you're holding this vision of what you want, not that you don't have what you want, but what you want. And as you're holding the vision, you might be inspired, like, do this. Like I was inspired this morning. There's an email going out, I think tomorrow, about the 2 things that I'm hosting next week. The Malocchio Evil Eye Clearing Circle, and I'm opening up the New Moon Circle to whoever wants to join us. So look for that email. But I went in there and I wrote it, and something in me, I had to add a little bit more, because Spirit was like, no, we have a little more to say here. So I had to listen, I had to get quiet, and I had to surrender to that, and then go take action, go and add some things to the message that they're like, we weren't done telling you what we're going to tell you to share with everybody. So I had to do that. So that's what I mean. But like waking up, if I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I have to do, that's not inspired action. It's also not surrendering. So surrendering is also to make it like to I guess the most direct way to say it is you ask for something or you intend for something, and then you release the absence of not having it, or the absence of having it. That's it. You release the absence of the thing you want. That's surrender, and know that it'll still come because you're grateful the universe is always conspiring for your highest good and it's bringing to you. So this week, I wanted to surrender. I do want to surrender. But I wanted to focus on that aspect of the manifesting process. And what I'm going to do is and you guys know I love these. So I have this card deck. It's the Ask and It Is Given deck by Abraham, because we love Abraham. And what I'm going to do is pull 3 cards. And instead of it being like, my typical Oracle card stuff, which is like answer, helper, helper, what I'm going to do is say to you, choose a number between 1 and 3. So 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to pull a card for each number, and that's going to be your reading. And our question to the universe is this: what do we need to know about surrendering for ourselves? Because the thing is, as we move from where we are, and I swear to you, you know, after doing this manifesting stuff since pretty much 1989, so a long time, y'all. I have my eye on other people in the manifesting sphere, from colleagues that I know personally to like ones that I follow. And what I've seen is really interesting, because it's not just them that are doing this. It is everyone that I tend to support and follow are doing something like what I'm going to share with you. And this I got actually from a dear friend called Jen Yaki. She runs a yoga studio out in Palm Springs, I think California, Arizona. I can't remember, Jen. So sorry. But I've known her for years, and she's a lovely, beautiful human. And she suggested, and it's I've seen variations of this. In fact, like Darren came and told me, he's like, oh, I was listening to somebody and they had this similar thing. So it is a thing that the universe is dropping into people, and I love it, and you can steal it. But I started doing this probably a week ago. And over here, you can see my little notebook right there with the pen on top. That's my little meditation corner. And every morning I do my meditation process. And I wrote at the top of the sheet of paper, I am open to receiving. And I just started making a list, and I'm on page 2. And if in the morning I sit quietly and I just kind of listen. Like that first time I set the timer for, I think it's like 10 minutes. And I just wrote, and I kept saying, when I was finished thinking about stuff, I would ask myself, is there more? And I just kept writing until either the timer went off or my inner voice said, okay, we're done now. And when I, get an inspiration to write something else, I'll write it. Otherwise, I just read the list at least once a day. And I just repeat, I am open to receiving whatever. So something for an activity for you between now and the Lionsgate, which is in 4 days if you're watching this on August 4th. So think about it. When you're doing Lionsgate Portal, do that activity. It'll help you kind of really focus your energy on what you want, especially right now where things are kind of cray-cray with all the fiery energy that is lower vibrational than the fiery energy that's higher vibrational. Okay, so I'm going to pick these cards. And again, remember, choose your number, 1, 2, or 3. Oop, we got a jumper. That's 1. And our question again is, what do we need to know to be in surrender mode even more, to be open to receiving, to surrender to the universe, and know with our whole heart that the universe is bringing whatever we need and whatever we're asking for, all of our desires as we want them, as we're asking for them, in ways that are even better than we can dream. And that's the only way to do that, is let go, right? Because if you're, when I jokingly will say to clients, that are wanting more money, they'll be like, I love that affirmation. I receive money in expected and unexpected ways. And then like literally what I think is hilarious is that they start trying to figure out the unexpected ways they're going to get the money, which I'm like, that's kind of not the point of unexpected. The whole point of the affirmation is to let go and be in surrender. Okay, so there you go. There we go. So, okay. Love this. So my number ones, again, so what do we need to know to surrender even more? So that, and there's something that Gabby Bernstein has said in the past, and I do subscribe to it, because I think a lot of times we think, oh, I've surrendered so much, I'm doing so good. And then you're still kind of like, where is my stuff? And it's because we need to surrender some more. When you start getting cocky about it, you need to surrender some more. So there's that. Okay, so card, if you are a number ones, the card is, I'm standing on the leading edge of thought. Right there. I love that. And I'm going to read the card, and then I'll kind of chat about this. Just as all of your experiences from the time of your birth into your physical body until now have culminated into who you are, who you now are. All that has ever been experienced by all that is has culminated into all that is now being experienced in the physical life experience on planet Earth. So I'm standing on the leading edge of thought. This card itself talks about how, because you're an extension of source energy, and source energy is the ultimate creator, whether you call it God, whether you call it whatever, source, spirit, whatever. As an extension of the greatest creational power in the universe, as part of the universe, you too have creational power. That's why it's called co-creating, because you are co-creating with the universe. And when we talk about energy flows where focus goes, so wherever your focus is, you can be saying all kinds of I want $1 million, but if your focus is I don't deserve that, or rich people are jerks, or you have this weird relationship with money, you're saying one thing and vibrating another, and hence you don't energy. The universe speaks vibration. It doesn't speak English. That's why people who don't speak English can also manifest, right? It's why aliens can manifest if they don't even speak any language from Earth, because it does vibration. So that's one of the things. So if you are co-creating and you have this great power, and there's all kinds of crazy in the world, especially right now, we also have to understand that we are co-creating with each other, with source, which is why you have the overarching energy that creates collective experience versus personal experience. And then you have your energy, which is how you choose to experience and manifest your experience within the global collective experience. And so how do we relate this to what do I need to know to surrender a little bit more? What I feel like this is saying is you need to remember, these are for number ones, remember your power, where it comes from and how to use it, and why you need to manage your focus so that your energy goes where you want it, not where everybody else wants it. So that might mean I need to turn the news off. It might mean I need to mute commercials while I'm watching my favorite show or my streaming service for whatever. Mute them, use them like you used to when you were watching TV back in the day. Mute them and go wash a dish. Mute them and go to the bathroom. Mute them and go get a snack or go walk around the block so you get some exercise between commercial breaks. But remember, whether it's a commercial for paper towels or something else, don't call it programming for nothing. And so if you're not in control of your focus, it's up for grabs. That's number two. And I feel like this is just, I'm standing on the leading edge of thought. Like that is one of the most important things to remember. You are standing on the leading edge. You are responsible for your thought. Giving that over to anybody else means you're not in charge anymore. So the way that you surrender, it isn't giving up your thoughts to other people. You're surrendering to the universe, not to everything going on around you. Okay? And you're not surrendering or giving up. And I had one client say to me, I feel like every time I say the word surrender, I feel like it's equating to giving up. And I said, well, that is a programmed idea about that word. So maybe let it go is better for you, whatever words are better for you. But remember, you could also say, I am giving up. I'm giving up listening to crap. I'm giving up other people absconding with my power. I'm giving up, like think of it like Lent. I'm giving a bunch of stuff up that isn't good for me so that I can create the things that I want. That's the surrender we're talking about. And knowing you're on the leading edge is, y'all, girl, badass. Okay, number twos. This I love too, because this talks about when we're surrendering, we have to surrender another thing. We have to surrender the whole idea that there's any punishment related to accountability and responsibility. I'm going to start with that for number twos. Number two is when I reverse the thought, I reverse the condition. And the only way you can reverse your thought and reverse your condition is if you are saying to yourself without judgment, punishment, regret, guilt, any of that crap. Setting all that aside and you say, I accept the fact And responsibility prayer. Y'all, it's right in front of me on my board. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked, even the shitty stuff. And we're not conscious that we're asking. It's not like, oh, I would like this bad thing to happen. Of course not. Who the hell's going to do that? Nobody. But if you are constantly thinking about how you're either unworthy or you're not healing your childhood trauma or you're not focusing on evolving your energy, like if there's this, I want all this stuff that's better for me, and you're not taking responsibility for the making of your betterment, then it doesn't happen. Same thing here. If you say to yourself, because, and again, I'm not talking about stuff when other people perpetrate on you. Okay. I'm talking about stuff that we constantly do to ourselves, the self-sabotage that happens. And yes, there's shitty things that other people will do. I think we can all say that we're experiencing some of that on a macro level, and sometimes we experience it on a micro personal level. However, like I said earlier, we can't control the situations. We can only control how we deal with them. And that is where your responsibility is that I'm talking about. So if you are constantly saying, well, the reason that I act like this is because my astrological sign is this, and the low vibrational thing, because that was a crappy day, is that my thing is, no, that does not work anymore. If you can't reverse the thought, you can't reverse the situation. If you're not taking responsibility for your own thoughts, and you're not taking responsibility for you can put it in clinical terms if you want. If you're not leaning into your neuroplasticity and the neuro snipping that needs to happen to change habits, you ain't going to change a habit, period, the end. But if you do, this is when this card comes in. So number 2s, it's time to say, my superpower is my responsibility and my accountability to myself about how I'm going to choose to not just navigate the good situations that are awesome and fun and easy to navigate, but I'm also going to say I'm responsible and accountable to how I choose to navigate the not so great situations. Because when you reverse the thought, you reverse the condition. Because if you can look at something and say, here's the blessing, and then move towards that, that's where you change your condition. There is no condition so severe that you cannot reverse it by choosing different thoughts. However, choosing different thoughts requires focus and practice. If you continue to focus as you have been, to think as you have been, and to believe as you have been, then nothing in your experience will change. So if you don't commit to your own neuroplasticity, to your own thought changes, to your own new habits, all the things that you say you want, you have to say to yourself, excuse me, you have to commit to yourself to make those shifts. That's why coaching is so important. I don't know if you get that, but whether you are doing manifesting coaching, business coaching, any sort of life coaching, or even like sports coaching, okay? If the reason you have the coach there is to not only learn from them, but it is also for them to keep you accountable when your energy and your focus strays as you're learning. It's not for them to whip you with a wet noodle and tell you you're horrible. I would never do that to my clients. What I do with them is, sometimes using humor. Y'all know who you are. And I'm listening, and I might reflect back to you with a little bit of humor about where things need to change. Or, oh, you're doing that? Well, maybe if you did this. Or maybe we would need to change our language because we need to listen to how we're talking about ourselves. That's where it is. Okay. And that all comes down to accountability and responsibility of your own thoughts and how you're choosing to navigate situations, not how bad things are happening to you. It's how am I going to choose to navigate now that the bad thing is over? And I'm not speaking from a high horse. I'm speaking from experience. Your house doesn't get destroyed in a flood and the rebuild takes a crap ton of money and a long time, and not look at your situation and have to have those moments where you have to choose, do I have the crazy breakdown? Do I have the meltdown? And yes, did I melt down? Sure. Did I also look at it when I saw 20 people show up, people from across the world that I've only had conference calls with, to my house in the middle of it, and think to myself, oh my God, these people are a blessing to me. I would not have known that they cared so much about me had my house not been destroyed. So there's that. Number 2s. I love you so much. Okay, here's another one. Number 3s. This, I think, has to do, it says, it is natural for my body to be well. If there is one thing about surrender that I think I have a big challenge with, and I know my other sister Virgos and brother Virgos, and Geminis, I'd say everybody, pretty much everybody, maybe not Sagittariuses. You guys are really you're a little bit better at this. It's the resting. It is natural for my body to be well, right? Because that's so funny when you think about the Course in Miracles. Marianne Williamson would always say, she always said that miracles are a natural happening, right? It's usually us getting in our own way that causes them not to happen. So when you think about it, your natural state of being is to be well. And a lot of times, yes, there are things out there we can talk. Y'all that know me know that I grow my own food. I don't live on a big farm. In fact, I don't even have a quarter of an acre of land. I have like a postage stamp in a neighborhood. And excuse me, if you came to my house, you saw the chaos gardening happening in the backyard, y'all would laugh, because the only reason I garden is because I like to cook. And the reason I can is because I don't want to eat things in aluminum cans. That's a personal 3D choice. And, there's 2 ways of thinking. My way, I like doing it because it makes me feel good. Could I buy vegetables at the grocery store? Sure. I personally want my high vibration. It's so funny because I sat there and I thought to myself, when we bought this house, my intention was to have quartz countertops throughout because it raises the vibration of whatever you're doing, and especially with the food that I'm cooking. So I manifested quartz countertops. They were included. I didn't have to do anything. And the funny thing is that when I went to this thing about 10 years ago, and we talked about raising vibration through thought, and you can do it with pendulums and stuff like that. Yes, you can change vibrations of things you bring into the house. But my thought was I don't want them to start off good instead of having to work uphill. That's me. But if you're the kind of person that wants to eat, McDonald's all the time, and then kind of give energy to it that's healthy and talk to it, because there's another philosophy that, there's that if you put the intention, you raise the vibration of whatever you're imbibing, like that Dr. Emoto water study where he did sound waves into water, and the water molecules changed to these beautiful shapes that look like snowflakes. And then he would say horrible things to the water, and they were all kind of contorted, almost akin to a cancer cell. So when you think of it from that perspective, knowing that you need to make sure, since your body is 90% water or whatever, it's a lot of water. You want to make sure you're speaking blessing over yourself. So surrendering the negative self-talk, surrendering thoughts of icky thoughts about what you're putting in your body, and everything you put in your body, you bless it. That's why, you want to say grace, if that's your thing. You want to just bless it, with a nice little blessing, whatever your jam is. You want to use your energy to shift the energy on the food. Number 3s, this is for you. I feel like it is natural for my body to be well. And I think there's that aspect of what you put in your body and surrendering it up to the universe to lighten its energy and to give it more light energy, which is the highest form of energy. It's love energy. And then also the other part of this, not just, shifting your own energy and thinking about yourselves and your cells. there's this idea, I think we all have talked about it, where you're going and going and going, and then you start feeling sick, or you had a cold and you 3 days in and you're like, oh my God, I woke up, I feel so much better. And then all of a sudden you go out and do all the things and then you just hit a wall and you're sick again, right? Because your body is telling you, I need rest. I need rest. Some days, like, I know my body's like, you need to go just sit down and stop thinking of what you're gonna do next and what you're gonna support people with and stuff, because you need to chill, because there's a lot going on, not just work, there's other things in life. It's how we all are. And we don't listen. And then we get sick. So the surrender is to say yes to the rest. Say yes to giving yourself the opportunity whenever you eat something or you put something in your body, saying, I'm going to surrender all of this, and I'm going to say a little prayer over it and surrender it. And when I eat it, it's going to be great. It might be surrendering through song. I don't know if you've all seen this. I love this one guy. So every day in August, he's doing this song and he sings it. And every day he adds another harmony part to the song. And so he's sing, and it's every little cell in my body is well, or something like that. And I love it. Every single cell in my body is healthy. Every single cell in my body is well. It's a cute little boogie woogie tune, and it's on like reels or whatever. But if you see it, sing it. But that's the kind of stuff we have to surrender, the idea that our bodies are going to break down, or our bodies are going to do all this stuff, and that they're separate from us. When in fact, if we can shift how we think about our body, understand that processing our emotions through the body instead of holding them, surrendering to that process, surrendering to, like, if there's grief, there's sadness, if there's joy, like moving your body with all of those things and surrendering and being okay with feeling. It allows your body to be well and be in its natural state of wellness. So the card says you do not have to think specific positive thoughts about your body, but you have to not think specific negative thoughts. If you could never again think about your body and instead just think pleasant thoughts, your body would reclaim its natural place of wellness. Meaning, like, not only don't look in the mirror and think to yourself, oh, I wish this was different, or this was different, or maybe a little less down here. Look in the mirror and say, I love you so much. That's so awesome. You're looking awesome today. Or even just don't even do that. Just go outside and just have happy thoughts, like Peter Pan. Go have happy thoughts. And your vibration will naturally rise. Surrender to that. Surrender to that. Let go of any negative thought you have about your body. Let go of any negative thought you have about yourself. Let go of the negative thoughts that are coming at you from wherever, newspaper, what you're streaming online. Let go. And allow, once you let go of something, sometimes that alone allows the good to flood in and feel better. So those are what we need to do to have more surrender. Remember, I'm standing on the leading edge of thought, meaning I'm in charge of my thoughts. When I reverse the thought, I reverse the condition is number 2. So remember, when we're accountable for our thoughts, we're accountable, meaning, and we're responsible for them. That means we're responsible for the good stuff too. And we can take back the power. If I'm responsible for it, I can change it. If I'm accountable for it, I can change it. And 3, it is natural for my body to be well. Surrendering is the one thing that you do have control over. And by surrendering, again, it's not giving up, other than I'm giving up the downside of things. I'm letting go of the not having, and I am allowing things to flow in. So that is what we're talking about today. Those are the 3 things, 1, 2, and 3. And if all of them talk to you, that's great. If all of them, you're like, yeah, I resonate with all that, then it's a whole message for you. So, and remember, as you walk through this, these are just reminders that the universe has your back. So when you're surrendering or you're letting go or you're changing your focus uh, to the abundance of something versus the absence of something, in this we're saying I'm standing on the leading edge, meaning I'm focusing on the fact that I have the ability to stand on the leading edge. When I reverse the thought, I reverse the condition. I'm focusing on the fact that I can do this, not on the fact that somebody else has control over what's going on. And it is natural for my body to be well. I am letting go of the idea that some other thing is in charge of my body. I get to be in charge of the vibrations that my body takes on because it's part of me. So that's it for this week. Again, this was a general reading, and I'm going to do my ask and say, hey, if you would like a private reading with me, I'll put the link in the description. We could do an hour on Zoom together. You get a replay, you get the summary notes, you get the picture of any cards I pull for you, and any other resources that I share regarding your specific situation. So, and we talk about how to manifest through all that and go towards the thing that you want. So I hope all of this was helpful. I hope that your manifesting this week goes well and that you come back and maybe if you want to share in the comments, what did you manifest this week? I know it's Tuesday. You might be seeing this Wednesday when I send the replay out, or you might be seeing it sometime in the future. Come on and tell me what it is you manifested this week because I love hearing that kind of thing. Other than that, until next time, I'll see you in the vortex. And next week, we're going to talk. It's a big week because next week is our new moon. New moon and eclipse season starts. How are we going to manifest through that? Don't worry. I got you. So until next time, I'll see you in the vortex. I love you so much. Have a great week. Bye.